Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at a few more 2 mark, 3 mark and 4 mark guaranteed questions from the chapter Manufacturing Industries in CBSE Class 10 Geography. And I personally believe that these questions will make an appearance on the upcoming CBSE Term 2 Social Science Board exam. So this video is part 2 of the series, so be sure to check out part 1. I'll leave the link in the description box below. Now, without any further ado, let's get started. Last time we ended at question number 15, so we'll pick up from question number 16. So the question is, what are the types of industries on the basis of bulk of material? On the basis of bulk of material, industries can be classified as either heavy industries or light industries. So heavy industries are coal mining, iron, and steel. And light industries are aluminum smelting. Those industries are light. So this is pretty self-explanatory. Bulk means heavy, so the heavy industries involve higher transport costs and more strength in the manufacturing process, whereas light industries require less dense transport, and it can be moved easier and quicker from place to place. So next, question number 17. How is the textile industry a boon for India? What are its special features? So now we're moving from the topic classification of industries to agro-based industries. So directly from the textbook, the answer is the textile industry provides manufacturing output, increases employment, and also diversifies India's manufacturing products. What are its special features? The textile industry is known for being complete and self-reliant in every step of the supply chain. So from harvesting the raw material to spinning, weaving, and retail, every component is self-reliant and complete. So those are the special features of the textile industry that must be highlighted. How is the textile industry a boon for India? It provides employment, diversifying our manufacturing outputs, and also producing large number of goods. Question number 18. What factors influence the location of the cotton industry? So the cotton industry is primarily influenced by, historically speaking, it would be proximity to a port, which is why Mumbai was flourishing as a cotton textile industry. Also, availability of the raw material, which is cotton plants, at a large scale. And lastly, dense transport networks and cotton textile industries. So factories that refine the cotton, spin the cotton, and weave the cotton. There was also a high demand for cotton during this time frame, from the 1800s to the 1950s, mostly because the Industrial Revolution was kicked off in this time period, and cloth was being produced for the masses through power mills and factories. So the demand for the raw material cotton increased tenfold. 19. Why has weaving been largely decentralized in small rural pockets of India? So first we have to understand the components of cotton processing. So first we have harvesting the cotton plant. Then we have to conduct the process of ginning, which means removing the small knits. And then after we get the pure cotton, we have to spin it to produce yarn. And finally, the yarn is woven into useful products such as scarves, blankets, clothing, etc. So spinning is limited to Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu because these were the early locations of the cotton industry. But weaving has been decentralized because India has widespread talented weavers. They specialize in different techniques and styles, and provides a livelihood to several rural households. It enables women to be financially independent and ultimately provides employment to artisan businesses. So that's why weaving has been decentralized, or it's been spread out in several rural pockets of India, because it's giving a boost to local industries, local small-scale cottage industries. And cottage industries are originating from the houses. So people from their house can weave articles of cloth and sell it to make a living. Question number 20. Historically, what challenges do the small-scale weavers face in India? So modernization of industrialization and manufacturing led to enhancement of the weaving process. So people went towards power looms or mill-based cloth, where the cotton was being woven at high speed and in large quantities. And so when these became predominantly prevalent in a country like India, the demand and work for these small-scale weavers declined significantly, because the power looms and mill-based cloth is obviously cheaper since it produces in large quantities. And the small-scale weavers could not sustain for a period of time, and they're still struggling to this day. However, one significant benefit of these weavers is that they have higher quality, which leads to a higher price. The mass-produced mill cloth is cheaper, so the consumer price would also be cheaper, the end price. But small-scale weavers tend to charge a little extra because they put in their hard work, their sweat. And it's clearly seen in the quality of the product. But are the middle classes and general consumers willing to pay extra for this quality? Obviously not. That's why they suffered. Question number 21. Why did M.K Gandhi not vouch for power looms and mass-produced mill cloth? Gandhi was always against producing for the masses because he believed that environmentally it could lead to long-term consequences, and it's not good for the lower classes who sustain on artisan and handicrafts. That's why instead of mass production, he advocated production by the masses. But this doesn't fare well, especially in a modern country where manufacturing is extremely important in the economy. But Gandhi promoted the ideology of assisting and lending a hand to the small-scale weavers who sustained on weaving these cloths. And he was against the idea of modernization of manufacturing, power looms, and mass-produced mill cloth, because he kept these small-scale weavers in mind. Question number 22. Why can't small-scale weavers utilize the high-quality yarn that Indian spinners are producing? So there's a point to note here. Indian spinners produced the highest quality yarn in the market. In fact, it's A-grade industrial quality. However, the small-scale weavers aren't able to utilize or leverage this high-quality yarn because of its price. Higher quality usually tends to create a higher demand and a higher price. And small-scale weavers can't afford this. They can only afford to weave the lower quality, lower grade yarn and produce cloth articles. And that's why Indians have resorted to exporting the yarn to keep the cotton industry floating and only utilize the small-scale woven articles for domestic purposes. But this isn't the right way. It's not the right path, because small-scale weavers have to be uplifted to an international forum where they can sell their goods to a global market. That's why the high-quality yarn has to be made cheaper through government policy intervention. And we can't just confine ourselves to exporting the yarn and domestically using the small-scale woven articles of cloth. Question number 23. Now we're moving on to jute industry. Where's the primary location of jute industries? What factors influenced this? The primary location is along the belt of the Hooghly River in Kolkata, West Bengal. And the factors that influence this is obviously the availability of water, because water is essential in the jute industry. It's also connected by a dense network of transport and communication. And there's a very close urban center, Kolkata, one of the mega cities of India. So through the urban center, we have a market, dense network of transport, and we're finding several services such as insurance, banking, and financial advice. So that's why the jute industry is located in Kolkata, West Bengal, along the banks of the Hooghly River. Question number 24. Why is the international demand for jute products low but the domestic demand so high? Internationally speaking, nylon and synthetic fibers have replaced the need for conventional jute products. Nylon and rayon, these have completely substituted these old, relatively ancient methods to produce cloth. However, domestically, the Indian government has mandated all packaging to be carried forward through jute products. In fact, all packaging has to be composed of jute. So that's why the domestic demand is high, but the international demand is relatively lower. However, in the future, with environmental consequences coming into light, jute will increase, jute production and jute consumption. Question number 25. Why is Bangladesh exceeding India in jute production despite having a relatively underdeveloped economy? So when Bangladesh or East Pakistan was succeeded and became an independent nation, a sovereign nation, all of our jute producing areas and the raw material source was in this region, the erstwhile East Pakistan region. So while India has several jute processing mills, the raw material supply location is confined in East Pakistan, and that's why Bangladesh leveraged this to exceed and precede India in terms of jute exports. However, they're still an underdeveloped economy, and in fact, I think it's safe to say that they're thriving only on this jute industry, and that's largely in part because of India. Question number 26. What industry is creating competition and hardships for the jute industry in India? As I mentioned earlier, synthetic fibers, nylon and rayon, these are creating extreme competition for the jute industry in India because jute processing requires more water and it's not as efficient, whereas synthetic fibers can be produced in large scale at cheaper rates. So internationally, synthetic fibers exceed jute. Question number 27. Indian government has mandated use of jute for packaging. How does this impact the jute industry? As I mentioned earlier, the mandate of using jute for packaging enables the domestic demand of jute to increase tenfold by leaps and bounds. Because if you go around, all the shopping bags, the reusable bags are made of jute. The cardboard boxes are made of jute fibers. And this is allowing the jute industry to flourish and expand, although it's only in India. Question number 28. Now we're moving on to the sugar industry. What are the challenges being faced by sugar industry? The sugar industry is known as a time-bound industry because the raw material, the sugarcane, is going to decrease in terms of quality because the sucrose levels decrease with time. So the sucrose is what makes sugarcane sweet. And if there's any delay in processing, then the sucrose level will significantly decrease, causing the quality of the sugarcane to subsequently decrease. That's why sugarcane is time-bound. Any delay will cause the quality to decrease. And another challenge being faced is transport delays and an inefficient network of transport. And the sugarcane processing industries contain low-grade ancient machinery that's not functioning properly. So these are a few challenges. And also, the quality of the sugarcane has been adulterated significantly from the past. So this is causing the sucrose levels to be even lower than usual. Question number 29. Why are sugarcane industries largely undertaken by the cooperative sector? If you recall from the previous video, the cooperative sector is managed, owned, and operated by the producer of the raw material. And sugarcane industries are prevalently undertaken by the cooperative sector because they're creating a seamless network from the raw material to manufacturing and processing. If there was a separate supplier of sugarcane and a separate processing industry, there would be pitfalls in terms of communication between the two industries, transport delays, miscommunication. So to eradicate and bridge this gap, the sugar industry is largely undertaken by the cooperative sector. So the same corporation that produces the raw material also manages the processing. So the sucrose levels will be maintained, transport delays will be significantly lower, and it creates efficiency and effectiveness for the industry as a whole. Final question of today, question number 30. Why has the sugar industry been gradually moving towards the southern and western parts of India? Earlier, the sugar industry was confined and localized to Mumbai, Uttar Pradesh, and Karnataka. But with time, this industry has also been moving towards southern and western parts of India. In other words, it's being decentralized. And that's because the sugarcane produced in these regions tend to have higher sucrose levels and are also of higher quality. And also, these regions tend to have a cooler climate, and the transport and communication networks are much more enhanced. Not to mention, the southern parts of India have a higher literacy rate, which could also improve communication. So for those reasons, the sugarcane industry is no longer localized in the north, and it's being decentralized towards southern and western parts of the country as well. So that concludes this video. We discussed 15 more questions, guaranteed 2 mark, 3 mark, and 4 mark questions from the chapter Manufacturing Industries, CBSE Class 10, Geography Chapter 6. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video and had a great learning experience. And until the next one, this is Nishal Tube signing off. Peace.